In a world where Serena Williams' name once defined tennis power and where giants like the U.S., Russia, and Czech Republic dominated, the sport no one thought a small girl from the Philippines, a country more known for boxing, or basketball, would be forcing the entire WTA to rethink the power map. Her name is Alexandra Eala. Just 19 years old, Eala has already defeated former world number ones. She is the first female Filipino tennis player to break into the WTA top 100 and the only Asian player from Gen Z who is truly threatening the elite of world tennis. But the story doesn't end there. Eala is not just a sports phenomenon. She is the spiritual successor to Rafa Nadal, trained by the Nadal Academy since age 12, living and training in Mallorca, Spain, where every morning begins with 6 hours of grueling practice, and every defeat is a lesson learned with blood, sweat, and no complaints. But what makes people unable to take their eyes off Alexandra isn't just her 110 miles per hour serves or her razor-sharp clay court tactics. It's her personal life, where fans have started to ask, who is the mysterious young man always present courtside at recent major tournaments? Why are fan accounts in Spain buzzing with rumors about a young director who frequently appears in Eala's private training area? And more importantly, how does a 19-year-old girl with no scandals, who doesn't use tricks to gain fame, manage to have a net worth of nearly $3 million, with endorsement deals from Nike, Babolat, and even Vogue Philippines? The 16-minute mark will reveal the identity of the man who is taking social media by storm with Alexandra. But to understand that, you need to go back to Quezon City, Philippines, where her story didn't begin with fame, but with the sweat of her mother, a former SEA Games athlete, and the iron discipline of a family that views sports as a religion. One family in childhood, sports as a religion, before becoming Southeast Asia's #1 hope. On the tennis court, Alexandra Eala was just a small girl in Quezon City. But in her home, sports wasn't a hobby. It was a rule of life. Her mother, Rosemary Ritz Manog Eala, was a SEA Games bronze medalist in swimming, a woman with military discipline and the mindset of an executive. After leaving the pool, Ms. Ritz didn't choose to rest. She transitioned into the business world and became one of the most respected senior female executives in the Philippines. Her older brother, Michael Miko Eala, was no less accomplished. He was an excellent tennis player who competed for Penn State University in the U.S. At home, Alexandra often witnessed him training to exhaustion, yet he would still smile and say, "An hour of pain is better than a year of failure." Her maternal grandfather, a man rarely mentioned, was the first to teach the 6-year-old girl how to hold a racket, how to greet upon entering the court, and even how to nod when losing a point. Be humble in victory, composed in defeat. That's a true athlete. But don't imagine the Eala household as a military training camp. In that home, sports were taught as the first language, with breakfast accompanied by videos of Federer's matches and dinner by analysis of Serena Williams' tactics. No one forced her, but Alexandra clearly understood one thing. If she wanted to play, she had to play her best. She began training every day from the age of 6, had a personal coach at 7, and played at the level of U12s at 8. The tennis court near her home wasn't just a training ground, it was a sanctuary of a dream, named Overcoming the Shadow of Expectations. 2. Journey to global stardom. From Manila to Mallorca. At age 12, for many children, it's the stage of learning 6th grade math, starting to use smartphones, and wondering where to go for summer vacation. For Alexandra Eala, age 12 was a fateful crossroads between her homeland and the world, and she chose the world. In 2017, while girls her age were competing For middle school entrance exam prep classes, Alexandra traveled alone to Mallorca, Spain, joining the Rafa Nadal Academy. No parents, no friends, just a racket and a decade-long plan. Rafa Nadal Academy is not a normal tennis center. It's a champion factory where physical training sessions are tough enough to make adults cry, and each tactical review session lasts 3 hours in Spanish. Alexandra, a small Asian girl who couldn't speak the local language, was an unfamiliar face among hundreds of tall, white athletes, but she didn't back down. Coach Daniel Gomez, who has guided many top 100 players, soon realized this girl is not a prodigy. She's a fighting machine in a school uniform. Eala's mornings began at 5:30 a.m. Physical training, technical drills, tactical analysis, then academics. At 12, she lived like a professional athlete at 25. Within 18 months, Eala exceeded all expectations. She won the Lely Patas tournament in France, the world's most prestigious U14 competition. This achievement immediately astonished experts. A player from a country with no tennis tradition, never predicted to excel, had just defeated a series of players from Europe, the US, and Australia, the leading cradles of tennis. But the special thing wasn't just the title. In Mallorca, Alexandra never returned home for holidays. She learned Spanish, communicated in English, trained in French, and kept her native Tagalog for video calls. With her family, she lived in an international world, but never forgot she came from the Philippines, and she was here to rewrite her country's position on the global tennis map. 3. Historical moments. The Philippines alone on the Grand Slam map. Philippine sports history has many golden pages, but almost no room for women's tennis. Until Alexandra Eala appeared, everything began to change. In 2020, at just 14 years old, Alexandra created the first shock at the Australian Open Junior, winning the girls' doubles title with Indonesian player Priska Nugroho. That was a first Grand Slam title for a Filipino female tennis player in any category. People called it a random moment, but Alexandra turned randomness into a consistent pattern. In 2021, she won her next title at the French Open Junior, still in doubles, but this time with Russian partner Oksana Selematova. And then, in 2022, the unimaginable happened. Alexandra Eala won the U.S. Open Junior Girls singles, defeating the strongest names in the ITF rankings. She became the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam singles title. International media was surprised. ESPN wrote, "The small Asian girl, calm and sharp, like a spiritual copy of Nadal, is rewriting the structure of women's tennis." However, Alexandra didn't stop at the junior level. In 2021, she officially turned professional at just 15 years old. Despite her small physique, Alexandra didn't shy away from challenges. She competed in ITF $15,000 and $25,000 tournaments, where most players were at least 4 years older than her. And then came 2025, the year that defined her position on the WDA Tour. Miami Open 2025, Alexandra Eala received a wild card, and from a player outside the top 200, she successfully defeated Elena Ostapenko, 2017 Roland Garros champion, Madison Keys, former U.S. Open finalist, and culminated in defeating Iga Swiatek, the current world number 2. That wasn't just a technical victory. It was a mental revolution. In a match lasting over 2 hours, Alexandra patiently clawed back every point, counterattacked every powerful shot, and defeated Swiatek with IGA's own weapon, ironclad mental fortitude. She became the first Filipino player in history to defeat a top 10 opponent, and the only Southeast Asian player ever to do so in the open era of women's tennis. The WTA stage has never seen anyone like her. No fuss, no bragging, no fashion scandals, only composure, steadiness, and every step calculated like a chess game for playing style and calm demeanor. If Nadal is male, ELA is the female version, in an era where tennis increasingly favors speed, power, and super-fast highlight shots. Alexandra Eala stands out for not rushing. She is not the type of court-burning player, like Aryna Sabalenka or Coco Gauff. She doesn't rush to hit winners at every opportunity. Instead, Alexandra plays like a warrior who knows how to wait for the right moment. She is reminiscent of early Rafael Nadal. Every shot has a purpose. Every movement is like a prearranged symphony. As one of the few left-handed players on the WTA Tour, Alexandra confuses opponents with her reverse-spinning topspin shots, especially on clay courts. Her forehand isn't as powerful as top names, but it's extremely annoying, creating high spin and forcing opponents to hit from difficult positions. Alexandra's two-handed backhand is the real weapon. This is what helped her defeat Iga Swiatek, known for her ability to pressure the backhand. She doesn't just defend, she counterattacks. Every cross-court backhand is like a knife cutting deep into the opponent's tactical intentions. Besides technique, her competitive mentality is what makes Eala formidable. In the match against Madison Keys, when down 1-5, she didn't panic, didn't call her coach, didn't show disappointment. She just tightened her shoelaces and won 6-5 after a series of consecutive breaks. Coaches at the Rafa Nadal Academy call her the chess player on the tennis court. She doesn't need to hit 40 winners per match. She needs one opportunity to make her opponent collapse. And once she seizes momentum, Alexandra rarely lets go. Alexandra's on-court fashion style also reflects this. No flashy colors, no ruffled skirts. Usually, short shorts, a polo shirt, and a headband. Neat, minimalist, and conveying one clear message. I'm not here to put on a show. I'm here to win. Interestingly, Alexandra learned this skill not only from Nadal, but from her mother. Ms. Ritz once said, "Women can be strong without being noisy. You just need to let your skills speak for themselves." 5 million assets and golden contracts. From small racket to billion-dollar icon. Unlike many rising athletes who only shine on the court, Alexandra Eala is building a real-life brand empire. And at 19, she already possesses assets that many people only dream of achieving in a lifetime. As of April 2025, Alexandra's total assets are estimated at approximately $2.84 million, largely from prize money at WTA tournaments and international sponsorship contracts. The Miami Open 2025 alone, where she caused an upset by defeating a series of big stars, brought Eala over $330,000 in just 10 days. But the interesting thing is that's not her biggest source of income. She is an ambassador for Nike, the powerful sports brand that once bet on Serena Williams, Rafael Nadal, and now Alexandra Eala. Photos of Eala wearing Nike, swinging her racket in monochromatic sportswear, have appeared on banners at Nike stores in Manila, Singapore, and Madrid. That's not just sponsorship, it's a declaration. Asia can dominate the tennis court. In addition, there's a contract with Babolat, the famous racket brand associated with Nadal's name. Not only does she use them, Alexandra also appears in global campaigns and even has a limited edition Babolat Eala Edition racket, specifically for the Southeast Asian market. In her homeland, she is the face of Globe Telecom, one of the largest telecommunications corporations in the Philippines. With her approachable, disciplined, and inspiring image, Alexandra's become a national face, appearing in TVCs, billboards, and even CSR campaigns aimed at educating underprivileged children. Eala's appeal lies not in her beauty or shocking statements, but in her integrity, discipline, and rare professionalism for a teenager. That's what makes international. Brands confidently place long-term bets on her. Forbes Philippines magazine rated her as one to watch, one of the most influential figures under 30 in sports, and Vogue Philippines dedicated its cover to her with the headline, "From Court to Culture, Alexandra Eala's Rise." No yachts, no billion-dollar supercars, no villas in the Maldives. Alexandra Eala spends money extremely prudently. She invests in training, equipment, hires nutritionists, and attends personal finance courses, something many athletes only think about when nearing retirement. She once shared, "Every dollar I earn is the result of sweat and sacrifice. I'm not going to spend it just to be in the news." 6. Romantic life and privacy. If someone is by her side, they must be worthy. Alexandra Eala is a rising young sports star, a role model that the media constantly chases, but if you're looking for a love scandal, you'll be disappointed. She lives so privately that when a photo of her holding hands with a curly-haired young man wearing matching bracelets went viral on Twitter in March 2024, people speculated endlessly, from a secret boyfriend to an international teammate. But just a few days later, Alexandra posted a simple story. "Sometimes it's just a handshake. Chill." That's Alexandra, clear, intelligent, and not letting her private life become a media tool. However, that doesn't mean her heart has never been touched. Some sources from the Rafa Nadal Academy, where she trained for many years, revealed that Alexandra had a special closeness with a Spanish male tennis player 2 years older than her, who also lived at the academy. They trained together, appeared in many off-court photos, and were once caught sitting close to each other at an outdoor movie screening in Palma. But when asked in a short interview at the 2023 Asian Games, Alexandra just smiled. "I date my racket. It never argues, and it always shows up." Nevertheless, fans continue to speculate. In October 2024, Alexandra was seen at a private party in Beverly Hills with many celebrities, including a rising star in the Asian entertainment industry, a Korean singer and music producer. Just one photo of the two of them smiling intimately was enough to make social media explode. But to date, no one can confirm an official relationship. What impresses fans is not just her discretion, but also how Alexandra controls her personal image. In an era where everything is exposed, she chooses to keep a safe zone for herself. No TikToks with flirtatious dances. No crying. Live streams about heartbreak. No using private life to attract more spotlight. Alexandra understands that the more you keep to yourself, the more sustainable you become. When asked what is most important to her right now, she only said one sentence that made many people think. "The court is honest. It doesn't care who I date. It only reflects how much I've worked." 7. OFF court life and spirit of service. A star who doesn't need a stage. When she leaves the court, Alexandra Eala doesn't transform into a stage diva or a noisy influencer. She chooses a quiet but impactful role, an inspiration and a community server. Despite her packed schedule, Alexandra always makes time to return to the Philippines at least twice a year, not just to visit family, but also to meet children in rural areas, organize free tennis sessions, and donate training equipment to schools. In December 2024, she unexpectedly appeared at a small stadium in Davao, wearing a white t-shirt, a baseball cap, and holding an old racket, to teach tennis to nearly 80 young children who had never seen a professional tennis player in real life. The event had no media, no film crew, just Alexandra, sweat and smiles, She once shared in a TEDx talk in Manila, "I don't want to be remembered just for my wins. I want a little girl in a rural area to think, if she can do it, I can too." Besides sports education, Alexandra also quietly donates to organizations like Feeding Philippines, a nonprofit that distributes food to impoverished families. She doesn't post photos of giving out aid. She only hints at it with a single Instagram caption: "True strength is being able to lift someone else." Also in 2024, Eala participated in the Green Racket Project, a campaign to reduce plastic at tennis tournaments. She is one of the few WTA athletes who refuses to use single-use plastic water bottles and asks organizers to provide personal bottles. When asked why she cares about the environment, she simply replied, "I don't want the tennis courts of the next generation to be built on the plastic waste dump of my generation." Furthermore, Alexandra is very interested in education. After graduating from high school at the Rafa Nadal Academy, she continues to study sports psychology and youth education online at a Spanish university. She once said, "I want to be able to coach later, not just skills but also mentality." For this reason, Alexandra is not only called an excellent young player, but also a future leader. She represents a new class of athletes, professionally skilled, kind to the community, and humble in success. In an increasingly commercialized sports world, Alexandra Eala stands out by not trying to stand out. 8. Conclusion, ambition, and legacy at 19. At 19, Alexandra Eala has reached heights many athletes never dream of in a lifetime. But the most astonishing thing isn't the titles, isn't the money, nor the victories against top stars. It's her composure, her gentleness, and an attitude that makes people believe she doesn't need to be known as long as she can contribute. When asked about her goals for the next 10 years, Alexandra didn't mention Grand Slams, nor the WTA Top 10. She just replied, "I want to be the kind of player that kids watch and say she never gave up." That's the legacy she is building. Not a gilded monument, but a flame of inspiration. A girl born in Quezon City, carrying the blood of sports within her, growing up amidst sweat and sacrifice, and step by step turning dreams into reality. A new icon of Philippine sports. No scandals, no gimmicks needed. Just truth and perseverance. Alexandra Eala is not just a future of Asian tennis. She is living proof that if you are diligent enough, honest enough, and don't give up, you can reach the world. The power of someone who doesn't need to prove anything. Alexandra Eala may not be the strongest player. She may not have the most powerful serve. She may not always win every tournament, but she is the embodiment of something modern. Sports is lacking endurance without a stage. She doesn't show up to please social media. She doesn't play to be called an Asian star. She fights because it's right and because the children out there are watching. At 19, Alexandra doesn't say much, but every shot, every recovery after defeat, every silence amidst the noise resonates like a declaration. I'm here to play my best. The rest, let history record. If you think Alexandra Eala's story is inspiring, then the next character will challenge your definition of success. A young man who has never won a Grand Slam, doesn't have multi-million-dollar contracts, but is called by the ADP the most genius mind of his generation. He is the tactical mastermind behind Carlos Alcaraz's Wimbledon victory, the youngest coach ever to reach the top 50 in the world, but has never played professionally. You might not know his name yet, but after the next video, you won't be able to forget it. Subscribe now to not miss the exclusive profile of the tennis genius standing in the shadows and leave a comment. Who do you want us to tell the story of next?